map from Seoul. We might actually see that here now as we see everyone line up. Make a bit of noise, guys. Let's jump into this one. London and Philadelphia Fusion head-to-head. What about the Mei for attackers on this map, Matt? Talk me through it.
Well, Mei is great on offense here because the other teams, they expect the Bastion. They play close range. You don't want to play up on that bridge where you see Philadelphia setting up on here.
Switched off already.
Mei would be great if you can get to that point and split players off, but it looks like the London Spitfire is not going to be running the Mei here on offense. It looks like they're going to change some things up, making some more changes. So at least right now, looks like Prophet will be playing Reaper. We've seen a little bit more Reaper than what we expected in the preseason. So now if the Philadelphia Fusion get up close to the payload, you're going to have Reaper and Hanzo to be able to burst down a lot of these tanks.
And they're out of the gates, the Spitfire now. Look at this setup. Not a lot of tanks on the side of the Fusion, though. Just the standard 2. Again, if Frankie wants to try and get jiggy with it, he's going to have the Hellfire shotguns to deal with.
If Philadelphia just backs out right here and doesn't contest the payload, what does Prophet do on Reaper? Because it's such an open first point here on Junkertown, it'd be very difficult to get him in a position to make an impact.
Dosen. A little bit of early damage and birdering as well, just trying to find an early target. Frankie gets charged. Usually it's Frankie the one that makes the move, but Gesture was all over it there. Find himself 2 early kills, birdering there. A warning shot fired in Boombox's general direction. Wasn't quite charged up enough to get the kill, but he's definitely going to back up.
Yeah, Fraggy was actually backing out underneath the bridge, and the rest of his team is already backed out way far away from him. So he gets pinned by Gesture. Shadowburn comes up a little bit on the Junkrat, tries to help him out, then gets hit with the Fire Strike. He dies, and now you have some remaining members of the Philadelphia Fusion here trying to get back on the card, but it's going to be a near impossible take here. As Prophet on the Reaper on the payload takes out Fraggy, a Bird Ring take out Carpe. Should be an easy first push here for the London Spitfire.
Fury as well now, just to clean up Poco, is going to be pretty straightforward stuff here. The Philadelphia Fusion have not really been in this game right now. The reactors clearly still powering up, and they haven't really found any sort of progress at all. This is what happened earlier on. This is Gesture starting off. Fraggy normally the aggressor, but Gesture gets right up in his face. There's almost an unmissable charge there. That's a stunning fire strike. Shadowburn, happy birthday, bro.
Gesture gets another one on a Carpe. Rarely do you see a Reinhardt take out a Widowmaker at range. Some pretty sick play from Gesture thus far. You're going to have a lot of ultimates on the board here for the London Spitfire. Shadowburn's going to switch off with Junkrat. I don't believe he actually even got a chance to use the Riptide. He's very close to it, but going to change off of Junkrat. He's going to go over to Genji, try and challenge Bird Ring a little bit.
We've got 4 ultimates here, 5 in fact for the London Spitfire, so they have a lot to be going on with, and the Philadelphia Fusion again are having to push into a position that doesn't have a lot of topographical advantage for defenders, i.e. they're kind of pushing out of these, very sheer apertures now, and Jesse's going to get jumped on here. It was an attempt, a little bit of a tickle from Frankie, but now the Earth Shatter comes down. Frankie's knocked on his rear end, and the charge is good. Carpe gets put up against the wall. Not quite the mural you want to see here in Junkertown, but I guess it just fits with all the Omnic bits rolling around the desert. And Gesture's not done. Boombox is playing a little bit too close for comfort, and now the Transcender's being forced out. Frankie getting him back. Fury's in the backline though, and Prophet trying to break it down, but no one's really there to take the damage. Still forcing the Fusion back here, and again, Philly really with no options here other than to just wait for the next sort of respawn back in. Davefire's forced to give most of his healing on towards Carpe. He drops down. Shadowburn looking very, very low. Worse for wear, and Prophet's waiting for his opening.
Yeah, both support ults invested there from the Philadelphia Fusion. They don't really get much for it. Fraggy here going to use Primal Rage, just trying to stall the card out. Then he's going to have to back out, go towards his spawn. It's the London Spitfire. Looked great here on Junkertown on offense, and I think the one benefit of not running the Bastion comp is that we see a lot of teams, it's successful early on. Once they get pushed off of the payload, it's very difficult to get that Bastion back on. You have to make a lot of changes to the overall heroes that you're running. When you don't have the Bastion comp, it's a lot easier to kind of just progress fluidly.
The Reinhardt allows you to move up as well and not take too much poke damage, which is quite tricky sometimes for the attackers to deal with if the defense is getting aggressive.
And Shadowburn.
Earth Shatter coming in though.
Big Earth Shatter.
Hold the phone. It's going to be Shadowburn put up against the wall. Poco from the top can only really look on in dismay, and the rest of his team are essentially just herded into the small space and taken apart one by one. Boombox needs to take a deep dive. He'll be healed by Dayfly. In theory, he's done for now.
I was going to say, with Shadowburn getting very close to a Dragon Blade, he knows that, the only real sustain ultimate on the side of the London Spitfire is Nuss with the Valkyrie. Would have been able to use that without Valkyrie online. He gets taken out with the Earth Shatter early in that fight, allows Nuss to build up towards that Valkyrie. Now you have Valkyrie and Nano Boost. for the London Spitfire as Birdring switches off of Widow, goes over to McCree here in the final stages.
Transcendence now for the Philadelphia Fusion. Birdring contending with just some shots from the back line, but Shadowburn's not going to give him any room to breathe. Looking for Mendoza, but he's got a big Reaper in his face, blocking a lot of the Death Blossom, and Prophet's down. Carpe picks him off from long range, and Reaper is vulnerable to snipers, but Birdring's back in the action, and Shadowburn doesn't take long to fall. He in turn will be brought back up by Dayfly, self-destruct over the top. We know what Poco does with these. That one actually gets two! How does he find kills from these? Nuss and Birdring both are out of the picture. No real healing available now. Bedosen falling, and Fraggy now knows it's his chance to come forward and spread some damage.
It's unbelievable. He throws the self-destruct up top, and at least from the view that we were looking at, it's like, oh, he's not going to connect with anything here. This is the first miss we're going to see out of Poco with his self-destruct. Picks up two with it. Helps Philadelphia at least stabilize on defense for a short amount of time. So, okay, so now the London Spitfire, you see Prophet will go over to Genji. We're actually going to see Lucio Zin here played by the London Spitfire. It's interesting. We usually only see that on something like a control map. Gesture comes behind and enemy lines, lands an Earth Shadow.
I mean, Fury actually avoids getting pinned there. Fraggy now might be in a compromising position. Forced to Earth Shadow. Actually does knock the mech down, but Nuss was still on his feet. Still in a position, of course, to get rid of the Reinhardt. Shadowburn holding his Dragon Blade for the time being. He's being pursued doggedly, but he gets the health back. Dayfly gives him a top up just as he peeks back into spawn. Shadowburn would love to blade here, but he needs a bit of support. Bedosen taking a few shurikens might give him the opening he needs, but the Spitfire are going to back away regardless.
Yeah, and Shadowburn knows that because both supports switched heroes, that you're not going to have any of those support ultimates online. So you're not going to have Transcendence, not going to have Sound Barrier. Gesture will go off of Reinhardt, go over to Winston.
Oh,
You're Nuss
switch
now.
him for Nuss.
Okay, so he'll go back to Mercy. So interesting. Maybe they just tried to use that speed boost to get Gesture in a position and use that Earth Shatter a little bit quicker, catch Philly off guard, maybe try and use it for one
try
push.
to access that back line perhaps. Carpe now, Recon Visor is active, so we can see the silhouette of Birdring lingering in the distance. That would have been a pretty big pick there, but Carpe is not rewarded again. Second shot doesn't connect. Find one, and you can see for the moment that just she's not really sure how to drop into this one. Dragon Blade, though, that's pretty big. Birdring down already. Surely a second for Shadowman, but he kind of loses track of where he was standing. Dayfly at least is going to keep him healed up, and Birdring is back, care of Nuss. So the Dragon Blade's effect essentially nullified, with the exception of the ultimate being drawn out, or the resurrect, should I say. Nuss is still only at 46%. And I was Carpe in the back lines finding a couple there. Birdring is going to be so vulnerable to this Widowmaker if he puts himself in the open.
I was going to say, you're starting to see Carpe heat up on the Widow because McCree's, pretty easy target, I would say, for the Widowmaker. He doesn't have like a lot of great movement, not able to escape really. He's not a fast hero. So Birdring actually will switch over to Tracer now. So be able to dive Carpe a little bit better in the back line.
Carpe wasn't pressured very much in that previous fight, safe to say. The backlines, though, you can see the Fusion, well, at least London are attempting to get on them, but Boombox isn't really playing the backline, he's playing from up above. Fraggy goes down to Prophet, so a tank being the first to fall, and Boombox might just have to go for a Transcendence to stay alive here. It's too crucial at this stage of the game, and yeah, he draws it out. It's only Fraggy benefiting from the healing at the moment, and they've got to make this count, but it looks like they're not able to pick up any kills despite the presence of the Transcendence. Prophet down, though. Shadowburn cleans him up with a Shuriken, but he's back on his feet as quickly as you can say. Where's my Genji? Fury finds Poco, but Nuss falls to Fraggy there. He goes in deep for the res, and he's punished for it.
Yeah, there's only 30 seconds left here. Shadowburn 96% and counting towards his blade. He's going to get it now. See if he can get out of the spawn, make an impact. Boombox with a big kill there on a Prophet. Gesture using the Primal Rage, just trying to stay alive here on the point, but no ultimates here online for the London Spitfire.
Birdring trying to tease with Boombox here. He's so low, he manages to pick him off. That's going to be a while to wait. Carpe down as well. It means the way is pretty much open for the Spitfire to make a safe landing here. Emergency or otherwise. It's Fraggy forced back, getting healed up by Dayfly, but there's a Transcendence here for the Spitfire, and that makes it so easy for Birdring to get in there. Fury with 2 kills and a D-suit. Dayfly not long for this world. There's a pulse bomb, and Birdring wants it, and he's just going to lob it in that direction, laconically, in fact. Spitfire get it done. No time in the bank. Finally, the Fusion wake up. Maybe a little bit too late in the map for that, but at least there's no bank.
Didn't look good for the Philadelphia Fusion for a while there. They're able to stabilize on defense. I think you saw some nice hero switches from Philly on the defensive side of things. Carpe goes over to McCree a little bit. Shadowburn, was playing Junkrat for a lot of like the first stage and second stage of the map. Then he goes over to Genji.
Carpe's Widow definitely put some pressure on the Spitfire. You can't really get away with playing low mobility heroes or heroes that require babysitting like McCree. Generally speaking, you need to pressure that Widow out. You're not going to beat her at long range like that, I feel. I'm glad we sort of switched and we went to the Tracer, and then... This is insane, by the way. This is the similar team setup that the Spitfire have been playing now. This is obviously a mix of the two rosters. Having Prophet and Birdring on the same team is so sick.
Yeah.
Because the hero pools overlap to a degree, but they've also got a huge amount of flexibility amongst that. Either of these guys played Genji yesterday. You saw what they were able to do to the Mayhem as well. Mayhem may be running less Zenyatta than some of the other teams, so it's easy to get those big Dragon Blade kills. But London, it's a newer look for them as well. You got to realize this is essentially two newer rosters going head to head.
Yeah, it's kind of like coming into Overwatch League, we weren't sure whether the London Spitfire were going to mix these rosters, or are they going to keep the Busan roster and the mostly Kanji roster.
It was announced that they were going to keep them separate.
Yes, but I think you look at these rosters and you have so much talent, like it's so tempting. Like, let's just mix them, see what happens. You got to remind yourself, this is a long season, right? So you can try some things out a little bit early on, see what works, see what doesn't as time goes on. I think Carpe, towards the end, you made a great point. When he was hitting shots in the Widowmaker, it's a lot like what we saw in the Gladiators versus Shanghai Dragons match, where Surfer was able to get so much done on the Widow because the other team didn't have a Widow of their own. They had Bird Ring on the Widow for a while. When he switched over to McCree, that's when Carpe was able to do a ton of damage.
So let's talk about this. There's going to be a defensive Moira on this map, which is not something you often see. A heavy tank composition. We saw the Custom manage to break healing records for Moira in a heavy tank comp for the Fuel. Nuts, though, goes down early here to Shadowburn. Not the great start that the Spitfire were looking for. They've lost the Lucio. They've lost the mobility. Now they're forced to back up sheepishly and slowly at that.
And they're going to have to back out very far here, as you don't have the Mercy, you can't get the res. You're using the Lucio for the speed boost to back you out of that fight. So now it's going to be Nuss getting back into the equation for the Spitfire. Comes off the spawn. See what they decide to do, because you'd like Moira if there was not a Diva on the other side. You see there, Fraggy, the shield comes down, and he gets punished in a big way.
Carpe thinks twice about playing so far forward now. Boombox being corralled out towards the side. Out of position and out of teammates to assist him. And the Spitfire managed to regain control. Despite losing their Lucio earlier on, Fraggy perhaps out of position. Two players, in fact, from the Philadelphia Fusion that were not protected by their formation.
Well, for the London Spitfire, you have the quad tank, and you would like the quad tank potentially, with the Mercy. We'll see Shadowburn here use a Riptire, gets it quite early, but put down a ton of damage on these tanks. We'll see if he can get anything with it here. Trying to darting around, doesn't connect with anything.
You're playing in such a tanky composition as well. So these guys have large HP pools, there's hooks, there's all sorts of things to disrupt you there. Shadowburn now as well, he's in a good position though, just to get unanswered damage. You can see the concussive mine being thrown in. And look at the health bars on the Spitfire, chunked on down. It's going to force the sound barrier out for them, but no! Nuss has been caught! The shield wasn't quite enough for Shadowburn, and he's able to break through it pretty comfortably. Another Riptire! How quick is that? Insane! Unfortunately, it doesn't account to much, because Fury's going to jump on him now. The Graviton Surge used to help the Spitfire here just clean up the extra damage. And Boombox, a transcendence that no one's really there to benefit from. Gesture now can push forward. Again, Spitfire hole.
It's so difficult because you have such large HP targets on the side of the London Spitfire. You see from Carpe's POV, what do you do? I mean, it's not anyone you can really take out in that one shot. Poco, the self-destruct connects on Nuss. It's going to force out the Coalescence here. So it'll be 2 kills for the Philly Fusion. This is where you really miss the Mercy, right? But this time she would have had Valkyrie for the London Spitfire.
Oh, there's Prophet going down. He tries to go for the Widow himself, but Carpe stands tall. And an opportunity now for Philly to make some ground. I'm telling you, Matt, Death, Taxes, and Poker getting self-destruct kills, you can really count on that one. He really opened the fight up for the Fusion.
Every single time, he seems to connect with at least one player with these self-destructs.
And you've got to be getting mad as well. You're like, guys, we need to stop dying to this ultimate. It's so telegraphed, and yet the Spitfire have fallen foul of it multiple times so far this match.
It's not like a Riptire where you don't really have an idea where it's coming from sometimes. It's a large mech flying through the sky.
Like, blow up in a couple seconds right about here.
But just get out of the way. Shadowburn actually goes over to Tracer here. So you usually see Carpe play the Tracer for this Philly Fusion lineup, but he's been hitting a lot of nice shots on the Widowmaker. You want to keep him up. Well, there's a nice one. So we see Nuss actually goes over to Mercy here. So you're going to be running Mercy Moira on defense. Carpe has helped open this up for the Philly Fusion.
Now look at this, and now look at Carpe's positioning as well. He knows he can drop down, he's feeling safe, he's feeling confident. Definitely in the groove, and what a great part of the map to be playing this Widowmaker on. Now that he has that high ground advantage, the rest of his team are pushed forward. They have Shadowburn deep in enemy territory as well to keep them busy.
The ult advantage is insane right now for Philly. You have all 6 online for the Philadelphia Fusion. You see Carpe's stats on Widowmaker.
That's a really good scoped accuracy.
Scoped accuracy is sick. But look, because of the London Spitfires forcing to make changes here, you've reset ultimates on Prophet, Nuss, Gesture, who recently falls, and now Bedosin. So you come into this fight with really nothing. The Philly Fusion may not have had to invest as much as they already did, right? They used the Earth Shatter, they used Pulse Bomb, and they used the Infrared Sight.
Bedosen getting pressured in, but Poco can't quite finish the job. Bedosen able to slip away. What a cheeky little man. He actually gets out alive. That's impressive work. The healing, of course, now given to him. And now Poco turns his attention to Nuss, the guy that put the egg on his face. The Mercy's going to be down now. That's a good start for the Fusion, especially now with the Reses coming in. Dayfly's brought Boombox and Carpe back. Gesture gets finished off, he's trying to escape, but Poco has the extra damage, and now, yeah, guys, look away if you struggle with motion sickness, as Fury is trying to avoid the damage, and Poco cleans him up. Again, this man being credited for so many of these kills in the fight. Now protecting his backline, this man can do it all.
But the fight actually isn't that bad for the London Spitfire. A lot of ultimates being invested here. Now it's going to be the Transcendence used here by the Philly Fusion, just by Prophet using his Dragon Blade. Coming into the next fight, you'll have your own Valkyrie for the London Spitfire. You have Primal Rage now online for Gesture. He decides to use it right now. He's going to just keep stalling out the payload, as now it's kind of made the ultimate economy a little bit more even across the board, because we came into the fight where it was Philly with all 6.
Gone through many of those. Earth Shatter here for Frank. We know he's more than happy to use it, but why not wait? The Philadelphia Fusion get over the line as the Spitfire are very staggered, scattered, and unable to really contest any further. 3 minutes and 4 on the clock. A very good trajectory for the Fusion, but this last part of the map is where many attacking teams can get snarled up, can get delayed, can get waylaid, essentially put in a position where they get slowed down by the higher ground control of defending teams, or they bring out a Widowmaker. We'll see if the Spitfire can actually grind to a halt here, because so far, it's only been a couple speed bumps here and there.
And I think Fraggy could be a big difference maker here, as we see the Valkyrie pop from both sides. Maybe he lands a big Earth Shatter, knocks a few of these players from London to the ground, and then you see the cleanup crew start to come on in. Gesture dives towards that backline. He's going to get res. He's got Prophet working with him there as well, sitting up top with that Dragon Blade.
Carpe forced to back out. Oh, Fury catches him at the heels, and Dayfly knows he needs to bring it back. The Philadelphia Fusion value the momentum they've built, and they want to maintain it. The pulse bomb for Shadowburn. He was hoping for a flying Mercy to catch, and Birdring can't decide whether he wants to go for Frankie or Shadowburn, but it's going to be neither. Shadowburn catches up to him here. He gets a little bit too deep. You got to watch out for the Reinhardt hammer. Prophet trying to make something happen here with the Dragon Blade, but again, it's just Carpe down. Dayfly fell as well to him. Swift Strike earlier on. Definitely came up with the goods, and that should be job done for Spitfire for the time being.
Spitfire, though, did have to invest a decent amount into that fight. You had your Valkyries at the beginning, and then you also did have the Transcendence there and Dragon Blade towards the end. See what the Philadelphia Fusion can get done here. So it looks like Poco is forced to use a self-destruct to get right back in his mech. Fraggy's still with the Earth Shatter. Carpe switches off to McCree. So I think probably to deal a little bit with the Tracer Genji combination, you would probably...
enough to deal with 2 divers, though?
Especially with 2 divers as good as Prophet Birdring, I don't really know.
Well, he's up to the task anyway, Matt. He's going to have a crack.
But what are your options? I mean, you can play dive back, right? I mean, I guess you can switch Fraggy off with the Rhine and just try and out-dive them. You can put Shadowburn on the Genji and put Carpe on Tracer. But that leaves your supports in a rough spot.
Leaves minimal protection. Although we have seen Poco spend some time in his backline, at least getting some defense matrix protection for his supports. And for the moment, the Fusion are just trying to test the Spitfire a little bit now. Carpe onto the Tracer now. So just as you kind of said, they're going to try and, again, replicate the Spitfire's dive. Well, Carpe and Shadowburn, probably not a bad option if you got them to go in aggressive.
I was going to say, if you're the Philadelphia Fusion, like, this is the type of game you want to play. You want to play dive with these 2 players on their best heroes. So you see Gesture getting start to cause a lot of damage here. Daylight just earns his Valkyrie, but he falls. Not going to be able to use it here. Only 37 seconds left. The Fusion going to have to reset.
This is a really nasty spot for the Fusion, actually, because they've got to pour into this last stage from, like, a very limited number of doors. Shadowburn gets staggered there. That's really not ideal. He'll be back with about 16 seconds left in the round, and that barely gives the Fusion enough time to get to the payload, let alone finish the map.
The Fusion will have their Valkyrie, though. That's about it. Poco, maybe with a self-destruct. Now, usually you'd kind of count out somebody with a self-destruct. That's the only offensive ultimate going into the fight, but maybe not Poco.
Dayfly has a Valkyrie. I would go for a preemptively. He does. He's going to use it for that extra healing early on. Carpe on the high ground looking for Bedosen. Finally, the Fusion have found the backline entry they've been looking for, but it's going to take more than that. Birdring's done just the same towards Boombox, but Nuss is down, so no support available for the Spitfire right now, and Fusion have brought theirs back. The Valkyrie really counting for a lot of the healing at this stage. Prophet tries to go deep, but Poco's there. Nice peel for his backline. That's what you're looking for as a Fusion right now. You can't afford to take any risks. They're in overtime, but they have a charge. Fury drops down. The payload's moving. The wick is burning, but the Fusion are on the roll.
Yeah, you gotta get Boombox into the fight. Yet again, he's gonna have that Transcendence, the counter Prophet's Dragon Blade on the other side of things. Shadowburn getting close to his own Dragon Blade. You do have Transcendence
This is gonna
for
get
the
messy.
Spitfire.
This is going to get real messy. The Spitfire are going to just use whatever they've got to try and finish this off, but they found Dayfly early. No Resurrect. That's huge. The perfect pick for the Spitfire has been found, and that Shadowburn's going to go down as well. That's all gone wrong for the Fusion. They were set up. They had the ultimate. They had the positioning. Momentum gets completely taken away from them. The Spitfire, clinical precision, picking out the exact target they needed, and Dayfly will be regretting being stood where he was. The Fusion were close. It was in their sights, but the Spitfire shut the door in their face.
Yeah, Shadowburn not able to get any use of that Dragon Blade there towards the end. Prophet comes on.